Alright guys, today we're going to talk about foiling. And foiling is used when you are multiplying a binomial times a binomial. That means you have a two-termed polynomial multiplied by a two-termed polynomial. Now at the beginning of your worksheet you have something that looks like this, and it looks a little bit intimidating, but I'm going to break it down for you. Let's just look at their example. 2x plus 5 times 3x minus 7. Now if you'll notice, the binomial times the binomial, since there's two terms and two terms, that gives me a total of 4 terms. Now these 4 terms can be classified in a couple of different ways, but the ways that we're going to look at it start with an F-O-I-L. F stands for first, O stands for outside, I stands for inside, and L stands for last. And basically this is a method to make sure that when we multiply these binomials together, every single term in the first binomial gets multiplied by every single term in the second binomial. So first I want to multiply the first 2 terms of each binomial together. Well, if I look at this binomial, my first term is 2x. And then my second binomial, my first term is 3x. So the first 2 terms is going to be 2x times 3x, which gives me 6x squared. O stands for outside. Now if you'll notice, I have 4 terms. One term starts us off and one term ends us. So those are the outside terms. They're on the outside of the 4 terms. So I'm going to multiply that 2x times the negative 7, and that's going to give me negative 14x. I stands for inside. Now inside are just the 2 terms that we didn't multiply together. So the inside terms would be 5 times 3x, which gives me 15x. And then L stands for last. Now 2x and 3x were my first terms. The last terms are the last terms in the binomials. So 5 is last in my first binomial, negative 7 is last in my second binomial. So 5 times negative 7 gives me negative 35. Now all I have to do is combine my like terms. Negative 14x and positive 15x are the 2 terms that are combined, so I get 6x squared plus 1x minus 35. And that's how we multiply a binomial times a binomial. So let's give it a shot on number 1. Again, we need to expand using FOIL, which stands for first, outside, inside, last. So on number 1, my first 2 terms are 2x and 5x because they're the first terms of each binomial. So 2x times 5x gives me 10x squared. O stands for outside. So 2x is on the outside of your terms and 3 is on the outside of your terms. So 2x times 3 gives me 6x. I stands for inside. Inside would be the 2 terms next to each other on the inside, so 4 and 5x, which gives me 20x. L stands for last. So my last 2 terms are the last term of my first binomial and the last term of my second binomial, so 4 times 3 is 12. Finally, all I have to do is combine my like terms. 10x squared can come down. 6x and 20x give me 26x. And then 12 can end us up. Let's try it again. On number 2, again, we start with our first 2 terms. So 5a times 3a is 15a squared. Then I have my outside terms, so that'll be 5a times 2, which is 10a. Then I have my inside terms, so negative 11 times 3a gives me negative 33a. Last, I have my last terms, so negative 11 times 2 gives me negative 22. Now all I have to do is combine like terms. So 15a squared comes down. 10a and negative 33a give me negative 23a. And then minus 22. On number 3, I have 2 binomials. Again, we're going to FOIL. So first gives me positive 6c squared. Outside gives me negative 18c. Inside gives me a positive 8c. And last gives me negative 24. Now I combine my like terms, and I get 6c squared minus 10c minus 24. Now on number 4, it looks a little different because I have x squareds and x's involved, but the process is still the same. We need to start with first, outside, inside, last. So first gives me 2x squared times 5x squared, and that is 10x to the fourth. Outside is 2x squared times 2x, which gives me 4x to the third. Inside gives me negative 3x times 5x squared, and that is negative 15x cubed. And last gives me negative 3x times 2x, which is negative 6x squared. Combine our like terms in the middle, and I get 10x to the fourth minus 11x to the third minus 6x squared. On number 5, now I'm working with two different variables, but again, that's okay. We still follow the same process. So 2x times 4x gives me 8x squared. 2x times 8y gives me 16xy. Y times 4x gives me 4xy. And y times 8y gives me 8y squared. Now, to combine my like terms, I only have 8x squared. 16xy and 4xy give me 20xy. And 8y squared comes down for the ride. Go ahead and pause the video and do number 6 on your own. So when I multiply number 6, 5x and 4x give me 20x squared. 5x and 3y give me 15xy. 2y and 4x give me 8xy. And 2y times 3y gives me 6y squared. Combining those like terms, I get 20x squared plus 23xy plus 6y squared. On number 7, I have 4x plus 5 times 2y minus 7. So we're going to start with first, which gives me 4x times 2y, which is 8xy. Outside is 4x times negative 7, which is negative 28x. Inside, 5 times 2y gives me 10y. And last, 5 times negative 7 gives me negative 35. Now to combine like terms. This is the only term with an xy, so it's going to come down. Negative 28x can't combine with my 10y because they're different variables, so they can both just come down. And then finally I'm going to bring down my constant of negative 35. As you'll notice on this problem, we didn't have any terms that could combine, and that's okay. Sometimes that's going to happen. On number 8, we're going to FOIL again. So first gives me 16x squared. Outside gives me negative 20x. Inside gives me a positive 20x. And last gives me a negative 25. Now, when I combine like terms, my middle terms here, negative 20 and positive 20, those cancel out. And that just leaves me with 16x squared minus 25. And sometimes that'll happen as well. Sometimes nothing will combine, and sometimes your middle terms will cancel out when they combine. Pause the video and try number 9 on your own. So when you multiplied, first you should have gotten 20w squared. Outside should have gotten you negative 45w. Inside is negative 8w, and last is 18. By combining like terms, you get 20w squared minus 53w plus 18. Now on number 10, if you'll notice, we have the quantity of 2x plus 6 squared. This looks like it would be easy to do, because if we follow what we did in Chapter 7, you're tempted to take 2x and square it and 6 and square it and get 4x squared plus 36. But that's not how we do things. I want you to think back to 5 squared. Now 5 squared we know gives us 25, but mathematically 5 squared is really 5 times 5. It's taking that base and multiplying it by itself 2 times. The same rule applies here, but the base is the polynomial. So instead of saying 2x plus 6 quantity squared, let's cross out that squared and rewrite the 2x plus 6, because this is the same thing as the quantity of 2x plus 6 times the quantity of 2x plus 6. Now I can follow FOIL and get an answer. So first gives me 4x squared. Outside gives me 12x. Inside gives me 12x. And last gives me 36. Now I can combine my like terms and get 4x squared plus 24x plus 36. Let's try it again on number 11. Again, instead of squaring it, cross out that squared and rewrite it as negative 5t plus 1. Now I can FOIL. First gives me 25t squared. Outside will give me negative 5t. Inside will give me negative 5t. And last will give me positive 1. Now if I combine my inner terms here, I'm left with 25t squared minus 10t plus 1. Go ahead and pause the video and do number 12 on your own. So you should have crossed this out and rewrote it as 4b minus 8. Then when you FOILed, first you should have gotten 16b squared. Outside would be minus 32b. Inside would be minus 32b. And last would be plus 64. Then when you combine your like terms, you'll get 16b squared minus 64b plus 64. Now let's use our knowledge to find the area of this rectangle. I've given you the formula, which we should have remembered from last class, as length times width. So I need to substitute the given length and the width into my formula. I'm going to say that my length is 3x plus 2 and my width is 2x plus 5. So I can say that area equals 3x plus 2 times the quantity of 2x plus 5. Now, to simplify, I just FOIL. So first gives me 6x squared. Outside, 15x. Inside, 4x. Last is 10. Now I can combine my like terms, and I get 6x squared plus 19x plus 10. Don't forget, this is an area, so we need to group the whole thing and tack on a label of units squared. Let's try it again on number 14. Again, I have a rectangle, so length times width. That means my area is going to be the quantity of 7y minus 2 times the quantity of 4x plus 3. So let's FOIL. First gives me 28xy. Outside gives me 21y. Inside is negative 8x, and last is negative 6. Now let's combine like terms. There's only one xy, so that can't combine, and my middle two terms both have different variables, so those also can't combine. So my answer can't simplify, and it's just 28xy plus 21y minus 8x minus 6 units squared. On number 15, notice they gave us a square because all the side lengths are the same according to these tick marks. That means if this guy is x plus 6, then this guy has to be x plus 6. Well, that helps me because I can use that for my formula for a rectangle. Area equals length times width, so that means area is going to equal x plus 6 times x plus 6. Go ahead and pause the video and finish this one on your own. Hopefully, you ended up with x squared plus 6x plus 6x plus 36, and that simplifies to an area of x squared plus 12x plus 36. Then we can slap on a label of units squared.